How does God want you to respond to Him now that you belong to Jesus Christ? What is the Christian life meant to be? What aspect of it? Romans lays the foundation in chapter 6 of Romans, and he says 3 key words. You ought to know what you have in Christ. Chapter 6 and verse 3, verse 6 and verse 9. But then he moves to another concept in verse 11, and he says, in the same way, count yourselves dead to sin, but alive to God in Christ Jesus. What in the world is he talking about? The old King James word used to be reckon yourselves to be dead to sin. Here it's count. The idea is the same. Count it to be true. Count on it. It'd be like me saying, I just put $1 million in your account and you still live like a pauper because you're not counting on it. You're not reckoning on it. Why don't you write a check on it? Why don't you withdraw some money? I told you I just made you rich. I don't believe you. I'm not going to count on it. Stay in your poverty. And so he's saying to these believers, you can know that you're no longer in Adam, that you've died with Christ, that you've been buried with him, that you've been raised with him. Now I want you to act like it. I want you to count on it. And he wants you to do 2 things. This is the response. Number 1, I want you to reckon that you are no longer available for sin. You reckon, I died to sin and its demands. Now sin has 2 aspects. One is the sin act, the deeds we must confess. But here he's dealing with a sin principle within that makes us sinners. And you're saying to yourself, because I'm now identified with Christ, I'm counting on the fact I died sin to your impulses and your demands on my body. I refuse to give my body to you. I'm counting on my identity with Christ. And the positive side is, I'm going to count on the fact I am alive to God the Father. Think of it. I used to be dead in Adam. I had no relationship with the Father. And now he says, I want you to act like you have a living family, father-son relationship with the Father. And I think the better way is we don't go around focusing on I died to sin all the time. Let's be positive. And the idea is I'm living my life before God the Father all the time. I'm having this face-to-face relationship. Something that is strange sometimes is to, I've done it in the past, walk through a room and maybe act crazy when you think there's no one there. Goofing off maybe or whatever. And then all of a sudden to be amazed that someone is there. It changes the whole feel, everything. And God says, I want you from now on to live your life as though you're living it right before the throne of God, looking into the face of God the Father, and you're saying to him, I'm alive towards you. I'm not running in the garden. I'm not running in shame and guilt. I have a face-to-face relationship with the Father because I'm in his Son. What privilege, what privilege. I'm not seeing my dad pull up in the driveway and running to my bedroom and slamming the door and hiding myself. No, no, no. I'm running to the front door to meet him because this is my Father. I have a non-guilt relationship. Believer, God says, now that I put you in Christ, I want you to count on it. And on the negative side, no longer be available to sin. On the positive side, act like you have a Father in heaven. May we do it and enjoy the salvation we have. God bless you.